Good morning and happy Tuesday. It's Miss Jen with Polk County Public Libraries, back with another virtual alphabet story time. So this week we are doing the letter R. And Miss Amelia is going to read the book Ray, that starts with an R. And I'm going to read you the book River, that starts with an R. And today I am at the Packet River at Herman Field in Tryon.
Ray by Mariana Copo. At the end of the hall near the staircase, there's a closet. Inside lives Ray. Oops, flip the switch, please. That's better. So this is Ray. Ray has seen better days. And worse ones, too. But now this is his home. It isn't much. The closet goes from here to there. That's it. Inside there are all sorts of things. When he's bored, which is rather often, Ray counts them. Once he counted as many as 41 things. Ray's favorite things are book covers, Tom the Spider, and secret hideouts. The closet, the things and even Tom the Spider often disappear. Ray does not like this. Darkness is boring if you don't know how to fill it. So boring that Ray usually slips into a dreamless sleep. Time goes by and things change, but not very much. Then, one day, Ray feels his head spin. He feels upside down. And then, strangely light. The closet is gone. In its place, there's another place. But Ray can't tell where it begins or where it ends. He tries counting what he sees, but there are just too many things. And Ray can only count to 41. Wow. I wonder where Ray is. He recognizes some things. Christmas trees, not one, but many. A very long scarf. A giant vase. Sadly, no sign of Tom the Spider. But everything is big, super big. And Ray has never felt so small. Everyone is asleep now, except for Ray. For once, he has something better to do. Look, a shooting star. Make a wish. Ray has just made one too. Obviously, I can't tell you what he wished for. The moment Ray finally falls asleep, something happens. When he wakes up, right there in front of him shines the brightest light bulb in the world. What is that light bulb? Ray is glowing. The closet is right where he left it. Only Tom the Spider has moved. Everything is exactly the same. But for Ray, it's another world entirely. The end.
your scarves all around. Scarves up, scarves down. Shake your scarves all around. Scarves in, scarves out. Shake your scarves all about. Scarves in, scarves out. Shake your scarves all about. Right knee, left knee. Shake your scarves fancy free. Right knee, left knee. Shake your scarves fancy free. Right hand, left hand. Shake your scarves with the band. Right hand, left hand. Shake your scarves with the band. On your back, on your tummy. Shake your scarves nice and funny. On your back, on your tummy. Shake your scarves nice and funny. Scarves up, scarves down. Put your scarves on the ground. River by Alicia Cooper. Morning, a mountain lake, a traveler, a canoe. As she paddles out into the blustery middle of the lake, she turns for a last wave to the shore behind her. Her journey begins. She is alone, far from home. Gray clouds bump into the mountains above her. A hard wind blows down through the treetops. 300 miles stretch in front of her, a faraway destination, a wild plan. And the question, can she do this? She takes a deep breath and pulls her paddle through the cold water. The canoe cuts across the lake to the headwaters of the river. She enters the river. Cedar trees touch overhead, making a green tunnel. The river is shallow here, scraping the canoe's underside. She reaches into the water for a pebble and places it in her canoe. Also in her canoe, tent, sleeping bag, guidebook, map, life jacket, first aid kit, waterproof duffel with food, clothes, water, bottles, coffee pot, stove, lamp, book, pencils, a sketchbook. Sometimes the river is so shallow she has to get out and walk, pulling the canoe with a rope like she's leading a horse. When the water deepens past mossy brown rocks. As she approaches one rock, the rock rises out of the river, water rippling off its back. A moose. The moose watches her. She watches the moose. The forest is silent but for the thump of her heart and the flit-flit of the moose's ears. She floats past, keep paddling. Around the next bend, she hears thunder. The thunder grows louder and the river rushes into a gorge, stone shelves squeezing the river tight, pushing the canoe faster and faster until the thunder is on top of them. Rapids! She braces her knees against the canoe's ribs and cinches her life jacket. The river turns white and roars, drops, jumps, leaps from pool to pool, bashes the canoe against underwater boulders. She digs her paddle into the spray. Her hat flies off. Gone. Her stomach flips, and for a moment she fears the rapids will flip them over, but the canoe rights itself, and the river spits them out, down into the next rapids below. The thunder fades with a sigh. She comes to shore. After checking to make sure the canoe is okay, she changes into long underwear and warm socks. Hangs her bedraggled clothes to dry, sets up her tent, heats a bowl of soup, and eats peanut butter straight from the jar, using a chocolate bar as a spoon. Hands blister, body sore, she writes in her sketchbook by the glow of the lamp. Above her, stars come out in the blue-black sky. The moon climbs up among the stars. She is alone, but not. The river stays beside her, mumbling to her and to itself all through the night. Dawn comes early, cold and sharp. She brews coffee, then breaks camp and heads downriver, sliding under an iron bridge. Rusted pickup trucks rattle above her. A driver waves. She waves back. The river winds through the forest. New life appears around each bend. Otters, ducks, dragonflies, a kingfisher. As she sketches, she wonders what word would best describe each animal. Eager otter? She sees a blackberry bush, so she comes to shore and is picking berries when she hears rustling. A bear cub. She stops, backs away slow, floats off in the canoe. When she camps, she plucks a flower and presses it between pages in her sketchbook. She eats cheese and crackers. A full day, she thinks. In the morning, she paddles until she comes to a stone bridge and a sign. Danger. A dam. The river stops. She must portage around the dam. She takes 2 trips, first with her gear, then with the canoe. She staggers, the canoe balancing on her shoulders. Down the steep gravel path next to the dam. She trips, drops the canoe. Grimacing, she checks the canoe on her bloody knee, then loads up and keeps paddling. Creeks feed the river and the river widens. Cows graze in pastures at the river's side, raising their heads to watch her go. She moos at the cows. One moos back. The land hums with tractors. The air smells of cut hay. Black flies circle her head and bite her ankles. In the evening, she swims in the river and washes the day away, treats her bruised knee, falls asleep fast. The next morning, she paddles downriver until she stopped again. A waterfall. There's no way over the waterfall, but there is a way around it. A lock. Locks descend the river here like a staircase, allowing boats to navigate up or down the river. Fishing boats and workboats wait to enter the lock. She paddles into line. The brawny man operating the lock bellows hello. The operator turns a lever in his control shanty. The top gate of the lock groans open, and she slides into the chamber. The operator turns another lever. Water drains out of the chamber. As the water level lowers, she holds a rope to steady the canoe. Then the far gate opens, the operator bellows goodbye, and she is loose downriver. Onward! The sun hammers down, and she paddles the flattened river. Sweat beads the back of her neck. The country shifts from farms with faded barns to villages with white clapboard houses to chimneyed factories on the outskirts of a town. At the levee, she hauls up the canoe. 2 boys with fishing rods watch from above. "Where are you going?" asks the older boy. The younger boy stares wide-eyed when she tells them. It feels funny to talk. She asks them to look after her canoe and walks the streets of the old town. It feels funny to walk. At a grocery, she buys snacks, supplies, postcards, a hat. At the levee, she gives the boys the snacks. The boys wish her luck. Back in the canoe, the river feels familiar beneath her. She paddles away from town and camps that night on an island, alone again. Where is the river? It was here last night. The river has been taken away by fog, thick and wet. So she reads in her tent and explores the island. High in the branches of a tree, she sees a brambled nest, and down on the rocky shore, an eagle with a fish in its talons. A striped bass, maybe a sturgeon? She opens her guidebook, then her sketchbook. All is quiet but for the shh of pencil on paper. There is nothing in the world but her, the bird, this place. No one knows where she is. Then the eagle takes flight, its wings thumping the air. The morning lifts the fog away, and she points the nose of the canoe downriver. Clouds roll over mountains, and the river runs through the mountains between earth and sun. The river is broad here. She hugs the shore. The land passes by, mile after mile, as she guides the canoe south past apple orchards, hilltop houses, and industrial plants. She paddles the days and camps in the evenings. Her blisters have hardened into calluses, her sunburn turned dark. Pencils whittled down, sketchbook filling up. The days blend together, paddling, sketching, eating, camping, paddling again. At night, when she sleeps, she dreams she is paddling under a big cloud sky. The river snakes through craggy hills. Rock faces loom above her and plunge down into deep water. She paddles with eyes narrowed on the lookout. under a shadowy bridge, around bell-ringing buoys, next to railway tracks and a clattering freight train. When the current is too swift or the wind too strong, she comes to shore and waits, writes postcards, checks her map. Once the conditions turn, she keeps going and is paddling around a stony promontory when she senses a rumbling coming from the other side, and it's heading right at her. A tugboat barreling upriver, plowing up a wake of water. She hollers. Nobody on board sees her. But she acts fast, turning the canoe's bow into the wake, even as water crashes over the gunwale. That was close, she thinks. She lands, hides the canoe among a pile of rocks, walks up the main street of a village, mails her postcards, buys a cookie at a packed bakery. Then back to the river. As she heads out, she feels a drop of rain. Then another, a smattering of raindrops, then a drum roll, then a single sheet blowing sideways. A squall, swallowing her and the canoe and pushing them towards cliffs on the opposite shore before capsizing them, dumping her into the raging water. She holds tight to the overturned canoe and, teeth clenched, legs kicking, drags it to a rocky beach. Shivering, she takes stock. Tent gone, clothes soaked, sketchbook safe. She huddles under a roof of trees as lightning dances above her. Night falls. She sleeps little. No one knows where she is. Dawn comes at last. She stretches at the water's edge and finds a piece of driftwood shaped like a fish. As she paddles downriver, her body warms. Then she rounds a bluff, and there's a steel suspension bridge with arching cables, and on the other side of the bridge, the city. She slips into the city unseen, almost unseen. A lone gull hovers above the bow of the canoe, riding the wind and watching her over its shoulder before catching a gust and rising up, up, up into the air, higher and higher, until the canoe is a small black dot on the gray-blue river, one moving part in the wide world below. Glass mountains of skyscrapers, brick forest of buildings, gorges of streets leading down to the river, and crisscrossing the river, boats, scudding ferries, tacking sailboats, dueling jet skis, speeding police boats, fireboats, tour boats, tugboats shoving barges. She paddles the length of the city and listens. Growl of traffic, blare of horns, rattle of subway cars over a bridge, a chorus. The sounds bounce off the buildings and over ship masts and down to her. The city, old and new. She feels like an explorer, but there is someone here she knows, someone she needs to see. She paddles through the harbor to the boatyard. Black-hulled boats and brick warehouses crowd the wharves. The air smells of diesel fuel and dirt. Standing in front of one warehouse, beaming out at her, is a bearded man in overalls, the builder of her canoe. "How does she do?" he calls down, nodding at his handiwork. They haul the canoe to the wharf and run their hands down its sides. They share a coffee. The builder gives her a small wrapped package. Then she launches the canoe one more time, past cranes lifting and lowering freight, out across the harbor. Through the harbor and under a last bridge, the river stretches behind her. In front, the ocean. A hard wind blows and white clouds race overhead. The ocean is big and wild, but she is strong, and she knows what she's doing. She reads the weather and keeps the canoe steady, and over the water she makes her way. As she nears the end of her journey, she looks to the horizon and imagines the rest of the world, and a part of her wants to keep going. Another adventure, another day. But closer in, she sees the lighthouse, and she knows it is time for her to be home. A seal pops its head out of the water and watches her go. Whales must be around here too, and there is the lighthouse, rising and falling in the evening light, growing larger by the minute. As she paddles, her mind plays forward. She can't wait to be with them again, can't wait to tell them about moose and eagles, rapids and storms, and then to turn her sketches into paintings and her words into a story. Now she sees them, her family, her children waving, her dog racing down the sand. So she paddles harder, as hard as she can, and brings the canoe to shore. All right, and here you could read the author's note all about that trip.